it's another game where even with the Yankees scoring 2-3 runs, you're like, "Are the Royals going to be able to score 3?" The offense has just been it's reaching unacceptable levels. And I know that it's April 16th, and I know that may sound a little hyperbolic, but outside of Bobby, they showed the stat today. Outside of Bobby's hitting 420 over the last week or so, the rest of the Royals are in a $130. One Royal way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Second episode this week, recapping the last two games in the Yankees series. Royals lost both of them. Lost 4-2 on Tuesday, 4-3 tonight. We'll talk about, obviously, the sixth inning that went awry on Tuesday and where the game kind of went sideways tonight, although I think a little bit of a better played game overall. But, there are no moral victories, even in a sport with 162 games. Be sure to like and subscribe on all platforms. We are closing in on that 700 mark on YouTube that I want to hit by the end of April. We're at 689 at the time I last checked. So appreciate y'all hitting that subscribe button. Tell your friends to as well. Subscribe on all audio platforms too. Hit those notification bells on all platforms as well, so you know when our episodes go up. You'll see this one Thursday morning. And then Thursday night, after the final out of the first game in the series of Detroit, we'll be live on this episode. And I say we because I will have a guest with me. You guys will have to tune in to see who that is. But I'm excited to get somebody on to chop it up, and we'll talk about that game and preview the weekend. So still a full week, even though it's a little wonky compared to the normal recording schedule. So we'll just go ahead and get right into Tuesday night. Royals lose 4-2. And they jumped out early in this one. MJ Melendez hits his first home run. Thought maybe that might be the thing that gets him off the schneid a little bit. Not necessarily the case tonight, but good to see him just put a charge into one a little bit. It was a confident swing, smooth swing. And he put another good swing on a ball later in the game, but Trent Grisham robbed him. Ends the breaks. When things aren't going right for you, they're not going to go right in any way whatsoever, it seems. They're up 2-0. Walker was pitching well. He was into the sixth, and it was, third time through the order, but he had, the pitch count was low enough. You think he'd probably be able to get through the sixth. And this is where things went sideways, and we're pretty much going to spend the rest of the time on this game here. So I'll go through it, batter by batter, just for everybody to see kind of how the inning went. Because I know that everyone wants to dump on the dude that came in, but let's think about the whole thing here. So Aaron Judge leads off the inning, gets a single, and it was like a half infield single. Massey went to dive for it. He didn't have a chance on the play. Okay. So then you got Bellinger and Goldschmidt after, and Walker punches them both out. So you got 2 outs, 1 on, and you're thinking Jazz is coming up, who's been striking out like a 40% clip. All right, should be able to get out of the inning here. And Walker walks him. And then Volpe comes up, one of first and second, 2 outs, walks him after a mound visit. Bases loaded now with 2 outs, Austin Wells coming up, and they went to Angel Serpa, which I know caught the ire of people immediately because he has not pitched very well this year. But in these situations last year, toward the end of the year, when they put him in these high lever spots, he was pretty successful. So, okay, I understand lefty. Maybe you don't want to give Daniel Lynch a muddy inning. And Zerp has seen enough of those. He can probably handle that spot. Evan Sisk would be making his big league debut. Not necessarily the fire you want to throw the rookie into, even though Evan Sisk is like 26, 27 years old. Bases loaded, 2 outs in a 2-run game at Yankee Stadium. Not necessarily the situation that you want to put that guy in. So it's Zerpa. Lefty, and he walks Austin Wells on 4 pitches. Brutal. It's 2-1, but it's still one. They still got 2 outs. And he throws a fastball in a 1-2 count to Jason Dominguez, drives down the line, clears the bases, 4-2. Basically ended the game right there. Because with the way the Royals offense has been lately, full run, a 2-run lead late in the game like that, it's not going to go well. So there's a few different angles here, I think at least. Again, I understand the process of what they were trying to do. You go lefty against Austin Wells, and you try and get the one out, and then you probably got Ursig for 2 and Estevez for 1. You go win a ball game. That's the way that it plays out in my mind. Here's the problem now. Anil Zerpa's been bad this year. It's flatly. I know it's 5 innings total, but one of those, it was a third of an inning where he gave up a walk and a hit, and, Ursig had to come up and save him. And he comes in tonight and he gets 2 outs. He gets the first batter, or he gets Ben Rice in the 8th, and, that's basically it. But the problem is, if you're going to be a fireman, middle and muddy inning, save the starter type guy, you have to get the run. You have to get the battle. You cannot let those inherited runners score. That's part of your job. And of the 5 inherited runners that Angel Serpa has had this year, which means runners on, even though they are not his, those are inherited. Those are dudes that he has to get out so they don't score. 4 of those 5 have scored, including all 3 last night. That guy can't be throwing high leverage for you right now. Until he gets it figured out, I'm not saying never, but right now, no, it can't happen. He's had too many of these situations so far that it's not either comfortable, or he is just not, something's just not right. And I'm not even saying that they have to ship him off to Omaha, but they have to put him in mop-up duty for a bit just to get him some comfortability. And I will say, tonight he pitched pretty well. He threw the 8th inning, got a couple strikeouts and a ground out. Maybe that gets him some confidence back after a rough outing last night. That's probably why he pitched, just like, hey, go out there and, get some confidence back. And he did. So credit to him there. But he can't be pitching those innings. I know that the Royals had said earlier, and I've talked about this before. I still remember when JJ talked about it on opening day, that they want to keep Daniel Lynch as stretched out as possible in case he needs to start. Now, I understand that logic of having a multi-inning guy available to you to spot start, be a swing guy out of the bullpen. But with the way Chris Bubich is thrown, the way Michael Lorenzen is thrown, I don't think they really need it unless there's an injury. And even at that point, you still got Noah Cameron, the Winder Avila to go to in AAA if they feel like they need a spot start. Daniel Lynch has been good out of the bullpen. And we've seen him in 1 inning spurts. He had the 9th inning tie game spot in Milwaukee earlier this year, and he pitched well. He pitched last night, looked good. At this point, he needs to be your 3rd guy. The other part of this also, why maybe Lucas Ursig's versatility, and that's maybe a situation he can go in if Hunter Harvey's there. Hunter Harvey's hurt. So it shortens your bullpen to such a point where you're kind of hamstrung with trying to keep those 2 guys and save them for the 8th and 9th, rather than being able to use Ursig a little differently or Harvey a little differently to go and get those out. So it shortening the bullpen to such an extent that there's a lack of trust really outside of those 2 guys. And it put them in a rough spot, but they said, Zerpa's done it before. It's a matchup that they like, and whether I agree with that or not is a different conversation. But the other part of this is, you can complain about Matt Quatraro and the decision that he made. Zerpa's got to go. He can't throw. Matt Quatraro can't throw the pitch for Angel Zerpa. He can't make him throw strikes. He's not out there going, yep, I'm going to go to Zerpa so that he can walk Austin Wells on 4 pitches. That's not it. And so much of the conversation is stemmed around the result and not anything else. If Angel Zerpa gets out of that inning, no one talks about it. No one. You may still complain that it was Zerpa, whatever. He gets out of the inning. We're still living to fight another day at 2-0. It didn't happen, and the results are the results. And now we have a point where the bullpen, unless Harvey comes back, and is healthy, it's pretty short with guys that you legitimately trust. And there's still some unknown with Daniel Lynch. He hasn't thrown muddy innings. He hasn't thrown these super high leverage situations very often, or if at all. He's only done it once in his big league career. So he may end up floundering in the spot too. Like it's unknown, but at this point you kind of have to see it, because who else are you going to trust in that spot? They threw John Schreiber out there in a tie game tonight, and he threw a middle fastball to Aaron Judge. Smoked it. Home run, and you lose a ball game. So who are you going to go to outside of Ursig and Estevez right now? Daniel Lynch is the best option, I think, at this point, and the guy that you have to go to. Now, I mentioned a little bit about Evan Sisk, and he did throw pretty well. He had a hit and a walk, but still struck out 3. But I don't think he's going to end up seeing a lot of those innings, at least early on, as he gets acclimated to pitching in the big leagues. But I imagine he's in the bullpen for the long haul at this point, and we're going to see what they have in him. But off to a good start. Congrats, making the show. And, you get 3 punchies in your big league debut. That's pretty awesome. I just wish it was under better circumstances than the 8th inning of a game you're basically gonna lose. Outside of those the 2 runs scored there wasn't a lot offensively. We'll talk a little more about that, after spending 5 minutes talking about 1 inning in the bullpen. Here to start out, we'll talk about the game tonight, do a little mini preview of the Tigers series, just because we'll be on tomorrow night to preview the weekend. So I'll talk about that pitching matchup, and we'll go on. But right after this, we got to take a quick break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. And yeah, that includes prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
As always, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. I appreciate your guys' support. This is obviously a rough stretch of baseball, but I appreciate you guys hanging with me and still supporting 3 episodes a week with this, especially when we go live. Everyone comes and hangs out in the chat, drops comments. We really appreciate it. It's a fun time over there. If you've never come and hang out during a live show, please come and do that. And we try and do it a handful of times a week. Of the 3, at least twice of the 3 episodes we do every week, and that will be live tomorrow after the final out of the Tigers-Royals game from Detroit. So to go to tonight for Royals-Yankees, Royals lose 4-3. Difference in the ball game. John Schreiber threw a 1-0 sinker right down the middle to Aaron Judge, and yeah, Aaron Judge hit it to the seats because that's what Aaron Judge does. He's one of the best right-handed hitters ever. He's hitting 409 on April 16th. That's crazy. So offensively tonight, the biggest thing, Salvi comes through early. Bobby gets onto the hit, and Vinny walks. Salvi ends up driving him in. The Royals scored first in all of these games and still lost. But because they couldn't score more than a couple of runs. I will say one thing that did kind of catch my eye, and one thing that I want to continue to see more of. But hey, it's helpful, even if we may not see it all the time. It's like I talked about the game a while back, that it doesn't have to be every week or every single game, but can someone from the bottom of the order come through, every once in a while, just to take a little bit of pressure off the top 3 or 4 guys. Drew Waters gets a hit, and then Isbell drives him in with a triple over the head of Trent Grisham, and gave the Royals a lead. And they're up. And then you're up 3. You tie the game at 3 there in the 5th inning after the Yankees get a couple back off of Chris Bubich, who I thought he pitched fine. He battled some command stuff. It was a pretty right-handed heavy lineup in spots. Obviously, you're going to be careful with Judge. You're going to be careful with Volpe, because with the torpedo bat and the short porch, he's kind of found something there. Paul Goldschmidt, shout out to him, batting .350 with an .867 OPS. Like, good for you. That's a Hall of Famer right there. Just as an aside. But you're saying, you're in the game, even if the offense is not quite up to snuff. Like, you're still in it. You're still pitching your way, through it. And then obviously Judge jumps on a fastball off Schreiber, and that's your ball game. They threatened at the end. Michael walked with 2 outs, and MJ hooks a ball that looks like it's going to be tracking for the corner. And I don't know if Michael would have scored on it, but at least he probably gives you second and third with the bottom, with Drew Waters coming up. But at least you got, 2 in scoring position. And Cody Bellinger made a hell of a play. And that's it. That's all. It's another game where, even with the Yankees scoring 2-3 runs, you're like, the Royals going to be able to score 3? The offense has just been, it's reaching unacceptable levels. And I know that it's April 16th, and I know that may sound a little hyperbolic, but outside of Bobby, they showed the stats today, outside of Bobby's hitting 420 over the last week or so, the rest of the Royals are in $130. Like, that's not good enough. You can't have that. That from a few guys in your order that are all slumping, but it can't be everyone outside of your one guy that's your best hitter. I keep waiting for the Vinny breakout. It hasn't come yet. Keep waiting for Salvi to kind of come through it. And he hit tonight, but we haven't really seen it from him consistently, and we haven't seen it from anybody else with any sort of consistency. Mike Hell's even fallen off a little bit. It kind of the same kind of thing that happened to him last year. So we're in a spot where, they're going to have to rattle the cage at some point. I don't know how that's going to happen or what they're going to do. I don't care to know. It's their responsibility to go out there and do it. I'm not going to do it for them, and I'm not going to lose my mind over all this. It's frustrating. Obviously, you can probably hear that in my voice right now. It's frustrating when a team scores 3 runs and you're like, man, can they score 3? Like that question came in my mind when it was 3-1. Or I was like, it's frustrating. You scored, at this point, 58 runs in 19 games. That's right around 3 a game. It's not good enough. And the Royals pitch well enough to where that can be enough some nights, but it can't be enough every night. There are certain times where, hey, look, when Cole Reagan says his good stuff, hey, look, we just need to scratch across 2 and we probably win. There are nights where that happens. And I'm not saying that they have to go out and score 8 a night. Like, they're not, they don't have to do that either. But can you scratch across 5 or 6 a couple times a week? Can you put up some crooked numbers against bad pitchers? That they didn't do against Carlos Carrasco. You're putting yourself in a really precarious spot. Even it's mid-April. Like, there's still a lot of time. So again, take some of this with a grain of salt, because there still is time. And, they've kind of struggled out of the gate in spots last year. But now you're going to go play Detroit, who is in first place. And they kind of play a little bit of a tough series against the Milwaukee Brewers. You're 2.5 back. Let me see how Terry games work. 'Cause I saw they got whacked one night, but I want to make sure that they get the results here. So they lost 2 out of 3, and they scored 9 in the first game, and then they scored 1 in the next 18 innings. They lost 5-0 and 5-1. This is about as close to a must-win as you get early in the season, because you lose 3 of 4 here, that puts you 5.5 back in mid-April. You can't have that. You got to find a way to at least get a split. You get a split, you're going to end up being essentially in the same place. 2.5 back. You'll be 10 and 13. They'll be 12 and 10. That's still manageable, but 5.5 even early on in the year is not a great situation. Detroit's the only team with a positive run differential. The Royals are -14. One thing the Royals hung their hat on last year was them having a positive run differential, and a pretty substantial run differential. That has not been the case this year because the offense has been pretty poor, and it's just not good enough right now. And we'll have to see where they end up and how they handle these next few games. It's going to be obviously a bit of a tough flight after getting swept. They didn't get swept very often last year. I think it only happened twice all season. If I recall, it was if it was more than that, it wasn't much more than that. So, going to be a tough flight from New York to Detroit, and they're going to have to figure it out tomorrow. There's no off day. There's no time to rest. They got to go out and play 4, and then they finally get an off day before coming back home. So they're going to need to get this sorted pretty soon. Someone's got to rattle the cage on the offensive side, and hopefully you can pitch well enough to win some of these games. You're going to a little more of a cavernous park in Detroit. That helps some of the pitching stuff a little bit. You're going to get Reagans, Lugo, and Waka in this series. And you're going to get Lorenzen, who is going to keep you in a ball game. He did it in Cleveland. He's done it in every start he's had so far this year, to his credit. He has not been spectacular. It's not super sexy, but you know what? He's going to go out and do a job. And then you got Reagans on Friday, win day. And if you're able to go win that game, maybe that gets you some confidence going into Saturday, Sunday. Lugo, Waka, and we'll go from there. I said Michael Lorenzen on the mound on Thursday. Reese Olson is going to be on the mound for the Detroit Tigers. Let me pull up his stats. I wish I had that available. This is great radio on my part. Sometimes I'm too beholden to the live lookup. So far this year, Reese Olson has a 6 ERA. He's given up 10 earned runs in 15 innings, 13 strikeouts to 8 walks. So you got a chance to jump on a guy that has not had a very good start to the season. And I'll pull up his game logs here so we can see how recent some of this stuff is. His last start against Minnesota. Didn't get out of the 5th, 4 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Maybe this could be a guy to try and jump on a little bit. Now, the FIP is about 2.5 runs lower than the ERA, which means he's going to come back the other way a little bit, regress to the mean or progress to the mean, whatever the phrase is. And we'll see what the Royals can do. I think they jumped on him last year in one of his starts. I hope that they're able to find something over the next few days, because it can get real precarious if we're still having the same conversation either same conversation tomorrow night. And if I'm here on Sunday, the Royals scored 5 runs in 4 games, we're adding into some serious conversation territory about what this lineup is going to look like and how they're going to be able to overcome it, not just work around it. Because that's kind of what they're having to do right now, is just work around some of this stuff. It's early. The lineup is probably going to look different if you're contending, but are you going to be contending? Because the offense is in a bad spot. So we'll see. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow night. It'll just be one game, and then we'll kind of preview the weekend. We'll talk a little minor leagues, possibly, and we'll have a good time. Like I said, I got a fun guest coming on that I know you guys will all enjoy. So I will talk to you guys after Royals Tigers on Thursday night live here on the YouTube channel. So be sure to hit those notification bells so you know when we start, because that notification will go out when we go live on the channel. So I will talk to y'all then. Take care.